Hello there, welcome or welcome back. In this video, I will be helping you to find your own hair care routine, or in other words, how to create your own hair care routine. Before you can create your own hair care routine, you must get to know your hair. If you don't know your hair, it is going to be very difficult for you to create a hair care routine. So here are some things that you need to know before you even decide to choose what products, when to do what. So let's look at that. The first thing you want to know is your hair characteristics. Now, what are these? These include your hair texture, porosity, elasticity, and density. While going through these different hair characteristics, I want you to get a notebook and a pen or maybe a pencil so that you can write down the different things that apply to your hair. So once I tell you what they are, you're going to do what you're seeing me doing in the video, and then you're going to do it on your hair, and then you're going to identify it and write it down. Remember, we are creating a hair care routine that is specific to you, that is going to be personal for you. Now let's look at these one at a time. First, we're going to look at hair texture. When we talk about hair texture, we're really talking about the diameter of one hair strand. So we're talking about how big or how small one hair strand is. So I have some markers here, and I'm going to use my paper to demonstrate to you what the difference between the three different types of texture, that is coarse, medium, and fine. So coarse hair has the largest diameter. So it would be this big as an example. And then medium texture is going to be a little bit smaller than the coarse texture here. And then finally, we have fine textured hair that is going to be the smallest of all three. So first we would have coarse hair that has the largest diameter, followed by medium texture, and then fine hair would have the smallest diameter. So this is for you now. How are you going to identify whether you have coarse texture, medium texture, or fine textured hair? Now, coarse hair tend to be more tolerant of heat, and also it doesn't get weighed down easily by hair products. So that's two ways you can identify if you have coarse hair. Another way that you can identify coarse hair is the thickness of your hair. Coarse hair tends to also look more thicker than medium or fine textured hair. So if you are at home and you recognize that your hair is able to hold hair products in without being weighed down, or it can retain the curls more readily and is more tolerant of heat on the hair, then that would give you a signal that you would have coarse hair. Medium textured hair is what most people have. So most people will have medium textured hair. So while it is that medium textured hair is diameter is not as large as the coarse hair, it is also not as small as fine textured hair. So it's like it's right in the middle. So medium textured hair can retain hairstyles, doesn't get weighed down easily by hair products in a similar manner as coarse hair. Like coarse hair, medium textured hair contains all three layers of the hair shaft. That is the cuticle, cortex, and medulla. So coarse hair and medium hair does contain all three layers, which means that they would be a little bit more stronger than, say, the fine textured hair. Coarse hair and medium hair textured are less prone to hair breakage, but of course that is relative because that would be dependent upon you taking good care of your hair also. Now, if you have fine textured hair, what you'll find is that it gets easily weighed down by hair products. Even if you use a small amount of hair product on your hair, it gets really heavy and weighed down. So that would be a signal that you have fine textured hair. Also, fine textured hair is more prone to hair breakage. So if you have fine textured hair, you're going to find that your hair breaks easily. Another thing to keep in mind is that fine textured hair in most instances only has two layers of the hair shaft. That is the cuticle and the cortex. The medulla in some cases does not exist in fine textured hair, but that is not always the case with fine textured hair. So if you have fine textured hair, as was mentioned earlier, whatever product you put on the hair is going to weigh it down, and so you have to be very light-handed, especially with maintenance products or products that are heavily moisture based. These products are going to weigh down your hair if you have fine textured hair. But for the most part, we know that most persons have medium textured hair, and then of course some persons have coarse hair, and then others have fine textured hair. Based on all of these information that was just shared with you, I want you to write in the comment section what hair texture you believe that you have based on the information that I just gave to you. And now let us look at porosity. What is porosity? Porosity is the ability of the hair to absorb moisture. So what do we mean by this? The products that you use on your hair, the liquid-based products that you use on your hair, how well does your hair absorb those products, or how well those products are able to enter into your hair shaft? Now I have my 3 markers here, and of course I have a paper that I'm going to use to demonstrate to you how you can identify different types of porosity we have. There are 3 types of hair porosity. We have low porosity, medium porosity, and high porosity. Now, how do we identify the low porosity? So I'm going to use this red marker, and I'm going to show you how. So these would represent the cuticle area, or what we would call the scales of the cuticle. So this would represent it, right? So let's put it on both sides of this hair shaft that I've just created. So low porosity, the cuticles are closed. So there's absolutely no way anything can get into the inner part of the hair shaft because the cuticles are closed. So that is why it's called low porosity, because nothing can get in without you doing something to open the cuticle so that it can go in. Next, we have medium porosity. And for medium porosity, it means that the cuticles are slightly open, right? So it's slightly open like that, right? I'm not an artist, but I'm trying. So that's how it is, right? So let's put some more on this side so that you can see, right? So it's slightly open. The cuticle scales, just like like scales of a fish. That's how it appears on the hair shaft. So this is how it would be, right? So products you put on the hair can enter the hair shaft because it is slightly open, right? And then next, we have high porosity. And high porosity would mean that the cuticles are wide open, right? Wide open. So anything you put on the hair can enter the hair without even adding any heat to the hair. So we could use an example of a door. For low porosity, it would mean that the door is closed. Nothing can come in. Medium porosity, it would mean that the door is slightly open. For high porosity, it would mean that the door is fully open. So now maybe you're wondering now, how am I going to know which hair porosity I have? So now to identify your hair porosity, I have some hair that has been shed from my hair. You can get some hair too that you have, some hair that has shed, and you're going to use it to test to see your hair porosity. Now, I've seen other cases on YouTube where persons use other ways of testing, but this is the most accurate way for me to test for my hair porosity. So what you're going to do is take one of these hair strand from the shedded hair. You're going to take one of the hair strand, just one. So you can see that this hair was shed. You can see a little hook right here. That is where the new growth would be. So that came from the hair root. So this is how the hair would grow, right? All the way down. Using your index finger and thumb, gently rub your fingers onto the hair shaft. While rubbing, you're going to feel if there's any slight bumps. If you're slightly feeling any bumps, then that is medium porosity. If it feels really, really smooth, then that is low porosity. And if it feels really, really rough while rubbing your fingers on the hair shaft, then that is high porosity. So take a hair strand and do this. To do the porosity test, you can do it on several different sections of your hair. As you may know or may not know, you can have different porosity on different parts of your hair. So you can take strands from here, run your fingers up. You can take strands from the top, run your fingers, and you can do different sections. What I want you to do now is to pause the video and do the porosity test on your hair, and then I want you to write in the comment section what porosity you have. Now let us look at elasticity. What is elasticity? Elasticity is the ability of the hair to stretch and return without breaking. So just like this elastic band, our hair can stretch and return without breaking. So let's look at how we can do this test on our hair. Now you get a strand of hair, right? So you can use one of your shedded hair. So this is one strand of hair, and we're going to stretch the hair just like how we would stretch an elastic band. Remember that we are stronger than the hair, so it's quite easy for us to break the hair. So that's not our intention. Our intention is to really stretch the hair. So as you can see, I have the hair in between my thumb and my index finger, and now I'm going to stretch the hair like that. So you can see it stretching. Release, it will return to its normal length. So let's go again, stretch, right, release, and then we can do it all the way up to the strand. Stretch and return. Again, let's do that again. So all the way up to the strand of the hair. Stretch, release. So if we were to pull hard on the hair, of course we can break it, so that's not our intention as was mentioned earlier. So let's do it again. Stretch, release, stretch, release. And you keep doing this until you get to the end of the hair. Right, so all the way up to the strand, like that. Stretch, release. All right, so obviously on this strand we had no breakage, right? So we didn't see any breakage in the hair, so that's good, right? All the way up, and we're not seeing any breakage, so that's good. As you saw earlier when I did the elasticity strand test, this will help you to identify the strength of your hair. Now, if when you stretch your hair and the first stretch you stretch your hair, then your hair break near to the root, then you know that that's danger and you're having severe hair breakage. Because once that start happening and you're seeing that happening on several sections of your hair, then you know that your hair is very weak. Now, if you stretch the hair and it breaks near to the ends, then that's fine. As you know, in most instances, the ends of our hair will be generally weaker. And so if that happens, I wouldn't worry about that because we can always cut those sections off. But when you're having breakage in the middle of the hair shaft and closer to the hair root, then that's when you want to well, I wouldn't want you to worry, but that's when it would be of concern. So I would recommend that if you see this happening to your hair, it could be one of two issues. It could be a moisture issue, or it could be a protein issue. And keep in mind, if it is a protein issue and you do use the protein on your hair, you have to go in with a moisture treatment after. Why? Because protein tends to make our hair very dry, and if you're already having breakage and your hair is dry, then you know that you're going to be having more hair breakage, and of course we don't want that. And now let us look at density. What is density? Density is the amount of hair on your head per square inch. So how much hair is on your head? Now that is different from the diameter of your hair. So the hair texture, which is the diameter of your hair, is different from the density. Now diameter, as was mentioned earlier, is how big or how small one hair strand is, while density now is how many hair is packed in one square of your head. So let's demonstrate that. Hair that is very dense, the hair is going to be packed together. So all the strands are going to be tightly packed together, and in some instances you could have more than one hair strand coming out of each follicle. Hair that is less dense, you might only have one hair strand coming from the follicle and they are not close together. And hair that is even more less dense, then the hair would look very sparse, and in some instances it could be fine textured hair, but not in all cases. So the hair would not be very dense. So here we have very dense hair where the hair is packed closely together, less dense hair where the hair is not packed close together, and in some instances one hair strand might be growing out, and then we have very less dense hair which might be looking even sparse. Now that we have identified your hair characteristics, now these are the things that are going to determine what hair products that you are going to choose. So based on what you wrote down for each characteristics, you are now going to identify now what kind of products now is going to work for your hair. So did you write that down in your notebook, of course? Or maybe you could write it in the comment section so that I would be able to see it and I could give you some feedback based on what you have said. So why not do that right now? Maybe you're a person who have never commented before. Use this opportunity and make this your first comment. Please type in your comment that you're commenting for the first time, and I'm going to choose one of those persons and I'm going to pin your comment. Next thing that we want to look at is your lifestyle. Now, what kind of work do you do? What's your family routine like? All of these things is going to help you to determine a nice hair care routine that you are able to manage. So for example, whenever you work in an environment where there is AC unit and the temperature is cold, it is going to be removing moisture from your hair. So it would mean that your routine would have to include some amount of moisture-based products, because you're working in an environment where you're actually going to be losing moisture from your hair because of the temperature that will be on the inside. If it is winter and the inside is heated, of course you're going to be losing moisture from your hair. And if it is summer and the environment that you're working is cold because of the AC unit, of course, then of course, yes, you're going to be losing moisture. That will determine how often you wash your hair and the kind of products that you're going to use. Of course, you're going to want to use moisture-based products because you know that your work environment, you're losing moisture. However, you would have to ask yourself this question, because I don't know. So you would have to determine, do you wear your hair down like what I have to go to the office, or do you have your hair in a protective style? Because if you have your hair in a protective style, that too will help to retain moisture. So that's something you want to take into consideration. If you work outdoor and the environment is dusty, of course your hair is going to be soiled easier. If you tend to use a lot of oils in your hair, then of course your hair is going to attract dust, and once the dust comes up, it's going to stick onto your hair. So that is going to determine how often you will wash your hair. So will you wash your hair every week? Will you wash your hair every 2 weeks? So your lifestyle, do you have children at home? How much time do you have to spend on your hair? Because if you have a family to take care of course you have to give your family some of your time. And so will you have enough time at home to care for your hair? That too is going to determine the kind of hair routine that you decide to do, depending on your work schedule and your family life and any other thing in your life that will take time. Of course, you will have to make your hair routine be inclusive of all of that variables. Of course, I do not know what your lifestyle is like. So what I want you to do is to write down in your notebook. Remember I told you to get that pen and that paper or that book. So in that notebook, you're going to write down, put a heading, lifestyle, and then below that now you're going to write down what kind of work you do. Is it inside? Is it outside? Then you're going to write down family life. Do I have children? Do I have husband to care for? What about my home environment? Is my house a big house? Is it a small house? So all of these variables must be put in place so that you can create a hair routine that you not only can maintain, but you can do it whether it's every week or every 2 weeks. So write that down. Developing your own ear care routine is going to take some work on your part. And the first of it all is, as I told you before, you will have to write down all of these things that I told you in this video. And then you're going to write what correspond with your hair personally. And then that is how you're going to develop your own hair care routine that matches your hair and your lifestyle. So yes, you can watch videos and you can take bits and pieces from different influencers here on YouTube. Please keep in mind that you will only see results if the hair care routine that you're practicing is specific to your hair care type. So yes, you might see someone here on YouTube that has similar hair like yours, but is it really the exact way as your hair? Maybe not. So you really want to develop your own hair care routine. And as you can see, I am emphasizing that you should develop your own ear care routine, and I'm really happy that I was able to make this video so that you can get the necessary help you need. If you would like to see how I do my deep treatments, then I'll leave this video right here for you to watch to learn how to do a deep treatment on your hair at home. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.